Welcome to StrivSports.com's Prep Huddle Live, week number 6. I'm Taylor Siebert, joined by Tony Chapman, our lead sports writer for StrivSports.com. We're pumped you guys are joining us here on Wednesday night. Obviously, you've caught on that this is a weekly show at 7:30 p.m. on Wednesday nights. We're excited to have you on. We've got a great show planned for you. Tony's put in a lot of work this week previewing some things coming up, and especially with girls' softball districts coming up and girls' state golf next week and girls' state softball next week as well. So he's going to be touching on that. We're going to recap our game of the week from last week between Fullerton and Clarkson Leigh. And we've got some highlights from that game. And talking about that, we've got some previews for some football games coming up on Friday. And then we're going to announce our game of the week this week and where we'll be headed. And be talking with one of the coaches from one of the teams that will be featured in our Game of the Week on Friday night. So don't go away. As always, we'll be recording the show, and you can watch us on demand if you do have to jump out and head on to something else. But we appreciate you watching. Again, you can always connect with us on Twitter. We love, Tony and I are big Twitter guys, and you can connect with us personally on Twitter or use the hashtag PrepHuddleLive. Or at Striv Sports. Love to hear from you. Love to hear the feedback for the show. It's been fun as we've now kind of consistently started the show, Tony, to hear some people and some feedback from the show, especially last week. Great people at Fullerton. They really enjoyed hosting the Game of the Week, and I guess we'll just kind of lead in with that.
Yeah, we had a great time. I wish it could be like Fullerton every week. I got there at about 6:35, and there's 12 minutes left on the pregame clock, and they said that they would get going as soon as possible, and made me scratch my head that kickoff wasn't at 7. In fact, we had a touchdown, I think, before 7 o'clock in the game of the week. So that was fun. Yeah, very gracious people over at Fullerton, and we were happy to be there, and we were treated to a pretty impressive show by their offense, wouldn't you say? So what we had, the final obviously was 58-14. Fulton beats Clarkson Leigh, and it was a game really that Fullerton took advantage of right from the start. They held Clarkson Leigh to just one first down on their first possession, and then on fourth down after a short punt, they had a fourth down at the Clarkson Leigh 29, and Garrett Sondrup scored on a pitch play, and they were really off and running. They got up 16-0. Clarkson Leigh did battle back and got it to 16-6. Chris Konachek, who was one of our stars of the week earlier in the year, scored on a 45-yard run. But then Garrett Sondrup, who would account for 6 touchdowns in the game, he then returned the ensuing kickoff, and it was 22-6. And then really Fullerton, they just played great defense, and they were able to put a couple more scores on the board in the first half, and it was 36-6 at halftime. Sondrup scored 2 more times in the second quarter, runs a 36 and 2 yards, and then they got the running clock going right away in the second in the second half, the beginning of the third quarter. Clarkson Leigh, it looked like had Sondrup tackled for about a 3-yard loss, and he breaks the tackle and gets into the secondary. Nobody could catch him, so he scores on a 59-yard run to open the second half, and it ended up 58-14. And Clarkson Leigh is a pretty good football team. I mean, they came into the game 3-1. They won their first 3 games. They lost the week before, a pretty tough game to Howells Dodge. That was about I think it was 54-32. So played Howells Dodge, who's always a power. Played them really well. And Fullerton really, just like I said, took control from the beginning. Garrett Sondrup's a kid. He's 5'8" maybe, and he's about 175, 180 pounds, but really hard to tackle. I know Coach Houghton said, he's a guy where other teams, most of the guys they can tackle on Friday, 19 carries for 263 yards. Again, 5 touchdowns on the ground. Returned the kick for a touchdown, 74 yards, and he's at 751 yards on the season already. So really impressed with Fullerton. I think they do some nice things. They run really a power kind of running offense and try to possess the ball from you and couple that with good defense. And at 5-0, they have cracked the ratings in the Omaha World Herald this week. So it'll be interesting to see how the rest of their year goes. They still have Nebraska Christian this week, and then Howells Dodge and High Plains to end the season. So still 3 really, really good football teams they have left to play, and it'll be interesting to see how that finishes up. So,
yeah, it was a good game, and fun to see Fullerton and Clarkson Leigh, 2 teams we hadn't watched yet this year. Just seeing them on paper, and we got an interview with Coach Houghton after the game. That's on StrivSports.com, and post-game interview with him. And then some photos as well you can see from that game. So, all right, let's move on, Tony. I know you put a lot of work into this next section here. We're going to keep it light on volleyball and focus on them here over the next couple weeks as they lead into conference tournaments, things like that. But I know you want to talk about girls' golf districts and some softball action, so I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's just touch on the volleyball real quick. I'll just go through kind of the rankings for the schools. Not a lot has changed since last week. We still have Millard West in Class A is 18-3, ranked 4th. And in Class B, then we have Grand Island Northwest is still 8th, and Aurora is still 9th. Grand Island Northwest 14-4, Aurora 13-5 in Class B. And then in Class C2, Sutton is ranked 8th. And Nebraska Christian is ranked 10th. I had a chance to see Nebraska Christian play here in Grand Island last week. And Coach Ostrander is a really nice team. They played Heartland Lutheran here, who's ranked 8th this week in D2. And that was a pretty highly competitive 3-set match in a triangular that they had that also Humphrey St. Francis was involved in. And then in D1, we have Creighton is up from 8th. They are 7th this week in Class D1. And then in D2, we have Hampton still 3rd. Their only loss, again, is to Bertrand, who's 2nd in D2. And Johnson Brock is still 5th at 13-6. And then Exeter Milligan back in the rankings this week. They are 15-6, and they are ranked 10th. And so I believe we'll have conference tournament time. We'll kind of get going heavy that last week of October. And then we'll kind of gear up for sub-district and district play before the state tournament hits us in November 13th in Lincoln. It starts. So let's transition over. I want to quickly I'll run through the softball rankings real quick, Taylor, and then I'll maybe preview a couple districts here that have some Strive schools playing in them as we head into district start tomorrow morning. Most games, I think you'll probably see some districts start at 10. Some districts will start at noon. So that'll get going basically tomorrow and Friday, and then we'll start state softball in Hastings next Thursday as well. So Millard West is 3rd in Class A at 18-5, and they will be hosting a district this week. In Class B, you have York is 20-2, and I think actually we should probably amend that. These are last Thursday's rankings, of course. They're now 24-2 heading into district play. They won the Central 10 Conference tournament last weekend before these rankings came out. And then Northwest is 9th in the rankings, and I think Northwest is 19-6, I believe. I'll have to double check that record. That record for you. And then in Class C, we have Wilbur Claytonia, who's 17-7 and ranked 8th in Class C. So I just wanted to go through and quick preview kind of where our teams were this week. And I know I'm probably not going to get all of them in there for softball, but again, in Class A, Millard West will host the A4 district as the top seed there. In Class B, you have the B5 at Aurora. That'll start tomorrow at 10 o'clock. York is the top seed there, and Grand Island Northwest is the 3rd seed. in that district. So you have York, who's the Central 10 Conference champion. The second seed there is Hastings High, and I had the chance to see Hastings High play Northwest earlier this year up here in Grand Island. Really young team. I think Hastings High starts like 3 freshmen. They're the second seed. They're also a conference champion. They won the Greater Nebraska Athletic Conference Championship. So a highly competitive district I expect there in Aurora in the B5. Syracuse will host a district. They'll host the C1 district in Syracuse there. And then the C2 district is at Milford, where we have Wilbur Clay Tony, as we mentioned, who is ranked. And then Fillmore Central Exeter Milligan and Centennial will also be in that district. And then we have in the C5 district, which is in Central City, we'll have Twin River and Polk County, which I believe, Taylor, I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's part Cross County, part High Plains, I believe, is who co-ops there in softball, and Central City. So those 3 Striv schools there are the top 3 seeds in the C5 district there in Central City. So some exciting district softball play that will get started tomorrow. We're going to try to get some pictures, hopefully maybe a couple interviews to get going there, and we'll move in and hopefully get some coverage of state softball as well next week, and maybe preview the state softball tournament on our show next week. So that kind of wraps up softball, and then I guess really quickly, wanted to go into district golf. We had, let me count them up here real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Well, I got some individuals in there, so I probably shouldn't count them. But I think it's about 30 golfers we had from Striv schools that have qualified for state golf next week. That will be Monday and Tuesday. Class A will be in Norfolk. Class B will be at Pioneers in Lincoln, and Class C will be at Quail Run over in Columbus. So in Class A, we had Annika Brown from Millard West. She qualified at the A2 district out in Norfolk. She was 8th place out there. An interesting note from that district, of course, they take the top 4 scores to do your team score. And Elkhorn South was 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th in that district. So they won by 55 shots out at North Platte. They'll be a favorite, I believe, along with, it looks like Lincoln Southwest has a pretty good team in A. And then Emily Jazuski from Omaha Central, I hope I didn't butcher that name, she qualified at the A3 district in Lincoln at Pioneers Golf Club with a 94. Down in Beatrice at the B2, Creek qualified as a team, and they had junior Murphy Sears and senior Laura Drevo were medalists there. I'm going to skip the B3 district just quickly. In York, we're going to talk about that one a little bit later. McCook sophomore Casey Samway, she shot 89 at Lakeside Country Club. That was hosted by Lexington, the B4 district. And then we had one team in Class C qualified. Dundee County Stratton was the team champion out at the C5 in Ogallala at Westwind Country Club there. They shot a team score of 416. They had sophomore Peyton Zarkowski finish 4th. Senior Rebecca Lorenz finished 12th, and sophomore Hallie Waters finished 10th. And then we had some other girls medal at the C2 at Indian Head Golf Club here in Grand Island. Melissa Kinsel from Boone Central was 2nd, and Paige Messel from Heartland was 3rd, and Emily Kay from Shelby Rising City was 9th, and they all qualified. Out at the C4 in in Gothenburg, we had Brandy Lemick from Donovan Trumbull got 4th, and Molly Cornelius and Taza Weinmeister from Cozad got 5th and 10th respectively. And I apologize, Cozad was 2nd at that district, so they also qualify as a team for girls state golf. And then at the C1, which is at Oakland Golf Club in Oakland, hosted by Oakland Craig, Allison Mead and Courtney Carlson from Syracuse both qualified. So a lot of golfers that we can follow, and we'll try to get some updates on Twitter and Facebook as those girls post scores next week at state golf.
Yeah, thank you, Tony. I think it just popped in my head, but we'll probably maybe set up a little feed on StrivSports.com that will filter, kind of our girls from our Strive schools on a page. So we'll be working on that for girls state golf and we haven't talked a lot about girls golf this fall, so we want to really promote the athletes that made it to state next week. So, and I just checked on the Weather Channel app. Looks like it's gonna be a beautiful week. In past, I know you get this time of year, Tony,
usually
that weather can definitely be an issue in October with wind and rain and snow. So looks like it's gonna be a beautiful week.
Yeah, we hosted state golf in Grand Island multiple times, and I battled through. I remember sleet one year. I mean, it was bad. So hopefully, they get some nice weather and don't have to wear stocking hats to play golf. So
that would be the goal. No stocking caps.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll take a quick break here and as we head into some football, talking some football here. But we want to thank a new sponsor of ours on StriveSports.com. Brian from Fullerton owns a company called Runner Fab, and reached out to us and loved what we were doing and wanted to spread his message and his business, and we were really excited to partner with him. They manufacture and install seating, football stadium seating, and so they've worked with quite a few of our Strive schools and are looking to get their name out there. So if there are any schools watching or any schools in the market for getting some new football seating, stadium seating, they do portable seating. They did for Palmer, I believe. Tony and I didn't know who had done it, but we were up at High Plains a couple weeks ago, and they got brand new stadium and press box, and it looks really nice. And Brian's company, Front Runner, out of Fullerton, is the company that did it. So I think they've done Shelby's Rising Cities as well, and a couple others. So we've got an ad now on StriveSports.com that's rotating with our other sponsor, Cornerstone Bank, that you can click. It takes you to their Facebook page, so you can kind of see some more projects that they're working on. And then you can call Brian at 308-550-0151, and he'd love to chat with you and see if he can help you with your needs, if there's any schools in the market for getting some new stadium seating. So we're excited to partner with those guys and appreciate their support with what we're doing here on Prep Huddle Live and on StriveSports.com. So thank you, Brian. All right, we will move on, Tony. Let's get into I believe we're going to go through some football rankings here and kind of review the rankings that came out this week, and not quite the list you had last week for the review. It's kind of a down week on Strive for the amount of games and kind of some of the matchups here. So I'll let you go ahead and get into some of the rankings.
Perfect. Yeah. We'll just start with the rankings here really quickly. Still, both of our Class A schools are ranked. Omaha Central 6th. Boy, they had Omaha North on the ropes. That game was they were up, I think it was 21-20 with about 9 minutes left in the game, and Omaha North scored a couple touchdowns late to go up 35-21, and then Central scored with about 50 seconds left, and their onside kick attempt failed. So since the first week of the year, that'd be the toughest game that the defending champion Vikings have had, and Omaha Central played a really good game there. So they're 4-2 and ranked 6th, and then Millard West, who I don't know if people would call it necessarily an upset, but they were beat by Norfolk in a kind of a key district game last week. Norfolk's 5-1. Millard West falls to 3-3. They had won 3 in a row after losing their first 2. But Millard West is really beat up right now. I believe I saw in the story on that game that they had 12 starters who did not play in that game. So interesting game. Hopefully the Wildcats can get healthy here for the stretch run these last 3 weeks as we head into the playoffs. More shakeup in B. We can't seem to figure out who is doing what in Class B. Scottsbluff fell out of the rankings last week. They're back into the rankings this week after they upset Aurora, who was coming off a big win against McCook, which tumbled Aurora out of the rankings. So McCook is McCook is 5-1 and ranked 5th, and actually they're our only ranked team in class B at this time. So in C1 we have Boone Central, Newman Grove. They're still humming along at 6-0. They beat Pierce, who was ranked, and handled them fairly well in a game. And again, they'll Boone Central, Newman Grove, looks to be, based on where their schedule's at, probably 8-0 heading into that last game on Friday, October 24th, prior to the playoffs, where it looks like they'll have a district title showdown with their ranked Norfolk Catholic. Wilbur Claytonia, they handled Raymond Central last week pretty good in what we thought would be a pretty good game, but they beat them. They beat them, and they advanced to 6-0. And the Wolverines are playing a stingy defense. They've given up less than 10 points a game so far this year, and that's going to win you a lot of football games once November hits. So Cozad still 7th, 5-1. They're only lost to 4th-ranked Kearney Catholic. And then Syracuse, after that 0-2 start with playing Wahoo Newman and Ashland Greenwood, has rattled off 4 in a row, and they are ranked 8th right now. In C2, we moved down to Sutton, who is 6-0. They beat the defending state champs, Donovan Trumbull, last week. Noah Johnson, 35 carries, 240 yards, and I believe he's been over 200 yards in all 6 games. And I think we're in the 1,500-yard range through 6 games. It's just a silly number almost, and all signs point to the Mustangs and second-ranked Hastings St. Cecilia being both 7-0 next week on the 17th when they will play, which what would appear to be that game would be basically for district title in Class C2 there. And to give you an idea of how good those teams are playing, St. Cecilia's given up 28 points in 6 games, and Sutton's given up 38. So something will probably have to give here. And as I'm looking through the C2 rankings right now, 9 of the 10 teams that are ranked have given up less than 100 points for the year through 6 games. So you can do the math there. Playing pretty good defense there. In D1, not much has changed. Creighton 3rd, Heartland 4th, Bruning Davenport Shickley 5th. All those teams really have kind of been there since the beginning of the year. They've all held up their end of the bargain and going 5-0. Bruning Davenport Shickley last week beat undefeated Diller Odell, who was 9th at the time. They dropped out of the rankings and actually made room for Fullerton with their win. If I look through at Fullerton's points through 5 games, they're tied with Creighton for second. They've scored 316 points through 9 games, and doesn't get really any easier for BDS. It looks like probably a de facto district title game they'll play this week with Friend, who is also 5-0 but unranked right now. So the big one that'll be on the network on Friday, Taylor, is down in Milligan. As we go through the rankings here, I'll just preview this one real quick. Number 1, Fall City Sacred Heart. They're the defending state champions. They're 4-1. They actually lost. Their loss was the first game of the year. They lost to Missouri's 8-man state champion from last year in their first game. Exeter Milligan 5-0. Scored over 300 points again already this year. And they will play Milligan on Friday night, a game I believe you can watch on Striv on the Exeter Milligan channel. And that should just be fantastic football. I'd expect that to probably be a game that maybe is in the 40s, high 30s kind of football game. So that should be a really really fun one. So it'll be interesting to see, who comes out on top there. And then. Number 1 Spalding Academy next week, so should be a pretty fun couple weeks here going in, and I've kind of actually maybe even touched on all the games I wanted wanted to touch on, Taylor. The only one maybe I missed is that opener in the B district between Aurora and Seward. Seward is ranked 8th, and Aurora obviously just fell out of the rankings. But that district, which we'll talk about a lot here in the next few minutes, will be a good one. And then Howells Dodge, who is ranked, I believe, 8th in D1, is going to go play Creighton this week. And I don't know, Taylor, do you have an update on Creighton being able to stream that game yet or not?
Yeah, we got them connected up. They're opening up some ports, and their goal is to stream their first live event on Striv Friday. So they're excited, and we'll cross our fingers and hope that they've got internet in the press box. They should be able to stream that game. So it should be fun for one of the top teams in the state, a couple of them to be on Striv. So we're excited for that.
Okay. We can go into this Star of the Week if you're ready.
All right, yeah. So I'll let you kind of handle this. You picked out this Striv athlete from the York Dukes, and she had a fantastic week at golf districts this week, and it's our Striv Star of the Week is Sammy Redfern of York High School, and I'll let you talk about her, Tony, as you kind of have a little connection there with her parents.
Yeah, of course, I grew up golfing in York for a long time, so good friends with Sammy's dad, Barry, and she's a heck of a little golfer. So, but just wanted to, I skipped over the B3 while we were running through district golf, but I want to give also Aurora and Grand Island Northwest, obviously they're due. The Huskies win the event with a team score of 411 to qualify for state, and then Northwest is second with a team score of 425. The Huskies qualify. 3 seniors who medal, I guess they would have qualified had they not qualified as a team, but Kristen Bell, Paige McCoy, and Jacqueline Johnson all were medalists at that meet, and then Northwest Megan Canfield was also a medalist. But Sammy Redfern is our Star of the Week, the York sophomore. She was the only golfer at the meet to break 90. She fired an 86 by 5 shots, and all those Class B golfers, Taylor, will be at Pioneers Golf Course in Lincoln next week for the Class B state meet, so we wish them all the best. And we finally don't have a football player, so I wanted to make sure we got that done before the year was over, and hopefully we can get some softball and volleyballers up there before the year's over too.
Yeah, I think that will be the plan, is to pick out some athletes that are just, as they compete in some district and state events. I think that's great. So way to break the trend there. Sorry, football athletes, but we're going to hand it over to the girls here for the next couple weeks, and maybe through state volleyball. So thank you, Tony. We're going to take a quick break, and we will be back in about 30 seconds here from our sponsor, Cornerstone Bank, and we've got one of the coaches from our Game of the Week on Friday joining us via Google Hangouts. Don't go away. We'll be right back. You're watching Prep Huddle Live on StrivSports.com.
Yeah, I get it. For the little things. Technology's great. It makes things easier. It's faster. We can get things done wherever we go. And we get all that from our bank. It works for us. But for the bigger things, the things that really count, I still want to talk to the people I know and trust. That's why I'm here.
For sticking with us here on Prep Huddle Live, and we are excited to announce our Game of the Week this week is going to be headed back to Grand Island Northwest for the Grand Island Northwest versus York Dukes football game on Friday night at 7 p.m. And we're excited to have Coach Snodgrass from the York Dukes football team, the head coach over there, joining us via Google Hangouts. Thanks, Coach, for taking the time here. I know you got parent-teacher conferences tonight, so thanks for the time to chat a little bit about the game on Friday night.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's terrible to have to miss some of the parent-teacher conferences.
I bet so.
Thanks for joining us. This is Tony over in Grand Island. We just wanted to preview, obviously, the first question I had for you is we have 2 districts in Class B that have teams with 500 records or better, all the 4 teams, and obviously the one around Omaha with Scott and Gretna and Elkhorn South is one that everybody's watching. But you're stuck here in the district with 3 other pretty good teams. Talk about the importance, I guess, of the next 3 weeks, knowing what you guys have ahead of you to try to qualify for the playoffs.
Well, I think we obviously have a very good district. Every team, I think any one of the 4 teams is capable of winning the thing. But, we don't think like that. We just think of the next game. Right now, our only focus is GI Northwest. We talk to our kids all the time about finishing strong. It's good to be playing well in August and September, but October and November is when the great teams really step up and play their best football. And so I'm happy to say I think we are playing our best football of the year right now, and our only focus is GI Northwest. Seward and Aurora have great teams, and those will be great challenges in the coming weeks, but right now we're just worried about the game up in Grand Island.
I guess talk about the season so far. I know you've lost a couple close ones, and I know health was an issue for you early. How do you feel about where your guys are right now heading into Friday's game?
Well, we're a very young team this year, and you're right. We've had some crazy injuries this year. This is, I've been a head coach for 16 years, and I have never been a part of a team with more injuries than we've had this year. It's just been a mash unit all the way around. There was one point that between our 8th grade and our high school team, we had 4 wheelchairs going through our hallways, and I've never seen anything like it. So, and early in the year, we also had major turnover issues. We turned it over 10 times in the Norris and Pius game. So right now, we're getting healthy. We've got Jonah Odie back. He tweaked his shoulder a little bit last week against Lexington, but he is back playing both sides of the ball. We have done much better with the turnover side of things, and so I think we have gotten better and we have improved every week, and I think last game against Lex was the best game we played yet.
Good. Talk about, I guess, what you've seen on film from Northwest, a team that obviously you've played them. They've been in your district for a while, and Coach Stein, a guy who likes to kind of spread it out and do some different things. But it seems like they have maybe been running the ball pretty effectively here the last few weeks. They lost, their last 2 games by basically 5 points to 2 teams who are in the rankings. Anything different you're seeing out of them, or I guess anything different you're expecting from them this week?
Well, I don't know if there's anything different. I think they've been pretty similar in what they've done offensively the last several years. They've run the ball more effectively probably than they have in the past. It's a very good offense. They make you defend the entire field horizontally and vertically. There's no part of that football field that you can't feel that you can feel safe not defending. And so it's a big challenge for us, especially defensively, to come up with our alignments, how we're going to line up against their formations, and just how we're going to defend them. So when you got two talented quarterbacks like they've got, and just a multitude of receivers who can run and catch the ball, it's definitely a good team. So it'll be a major challenge for us heading down there to their place.
And then I guess just talk about offensively, other than the turnovers, some things you're expecting maybe from their defense, and what might be the keys for you on that side of the ball.
They've got a very physical defense. They're very athletic in their secondary and their linebacker group, and so it's we took a look at them, and we hopefully are able to find some gaps somewhere in that defense and see if we can get some yards. But their strength is definitely their offense. I'm not saying they've got a bad defense, because they don't. They've got a talented defense. But the best thing that Grand Island does and what they're known for is an explosive offense. And last I checked, they were rated number 1 in the state offensively. As far as Huskerland Prep Report goes. So we're obviously working hard to kind of break down what they're doing defensively, but we're spending a lot of time figuring out what they do offensively and how we're going to try and defend it.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you taking a little bit of time for us, and we'll probably see you maybe before and after the game on Friday. So we wish you luck, and we look forward to covering you here as districts get into full swing.
Yeah, thanks a lot for what you guys do, and thanks for having York be a part of it.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep.
Appreciate the time, and we look forward to heading out to Grand Island Northwest on Friday night, 7 p.m. That game will be live video streamed on the Grand Island Northwest Vikings channel page on their Striv TV channel, so you can tune in if you're unable to go to the game. Tony and I will be there. We'll be covering the game and getting post-game interviews and pictures, so we will have those posted this weekend. Well, that about does it for Week 6 of Prep Huddle Live. We appreciate you tuning in, whether you watch live or you're going to watch the on-demand later this evening. We thank you. And again, thank you to Runner Fab out of Fullerton, Nebraska, and Cornerstone Bank for being our sponsors here on Prep Huddle Live and StrivSports.com. Thanks again, everyone. Have a great evening.